Psychologist Carl Jung once described the persona as a kind of mask, designed on the one hand to make a definite impression on others, and on the other to conceal the true nature of the individual.
Right.
Basically, who we are on the inside is different than who we are on the outside. But what if putting on a mask could actually reveal what was underneath it?
Underneath the mask? You mean your face?
I don't even know how to start to answer that.
Use your mouth, it's on your face. Well, while Wiz is trying to figure out how masks work, dumbass, let's talk about one mask in particular, the mask.
Its origins are shrouded in mystery. Some say it was used as part of an African tribal ritual. Others say it was created by Loki, the Norse god of mischief.
Who knows and who cares? It wound up in the hands of Stanley Ipkiss, the slubbiest, dorkiest loser this side of Deadpool.
Regenerating degenerates have feelings too, you know.
Curious, Stanley donned the mask and was transformed from an everyman to a Superman.
Smokehead!
And now he's a big green cartoon character the media dubbed Big Head.
But you can just call him the Mask. With his newfound powers, Stanley would take on the mob, get the girl, and live happily ever after. Right?
Don't let the family movie fool you. Sorry, movies. I always forget that second one.
Don't blame you. This ain't your silly Steamboat Willie shenanigans. Get ready for some good old-fashioned hardcore violence.
See, the mask itself is alive, and it desires nothing more than absolute carnage. By tapping into its wearer's repressed id, it can turn a nebbish nobody like Stanley into a rampaging serial killer.
Complete with Bugs Bunny powers. Horrifying.
Metafictional combat scientists like myself have long speculated about a unifying theory that could explain the source of the mask's powers. We call this phenomenon Toon Force. Think of characters such as Bugs Bunny, Popeye, and Michael Jordan. A being that wields Toon Force seems capable of accomplishing almost anything they desire so long as they find it humorous. With this power, the mask can manipulate the laws of physics whenever he likes, even breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, God, no, he can break it too? You never said anything about that, and now we've got two of them.
Don't forget about me!
Two of them.
Regardless, Toon Force allows the mask to summon any kind of weapon imaginable from thin air.
Everything from oversized guns and rocket launchers to whoopee cushions, dynamite, anvils, hell, anything from the good fellas at Acme.
Toon Force users can manipulate their bodies in any way they like, whether it be stretching their limbs, inflating themselves like a balloon, or shape-shifting into giant monsters.
And best of all, you can't really hurt a Toon. Well, at least not in the normal way.
Right, it's not that the mask has a specific healing factor or some such, it's more like he can just say no to damage.
He's had holes blown in him, had his head cut off, stripped his own flesh from his bones, and was blown up into a bloody pulp. He can outpace Lobo, remember him? Because he doesn't need to wait for his body to heal. It just happens.
However, the scariest thing about the mask's use of Toon Force is how it affects the world around him. In most cases, the rules of Toon Force are applied to the user and whomever or whatever the force is affecting.
This even happens in the movie. Man, look at her go!
But in the true canon of the mask, this is not the case. And this leads to some, well, horrific imagery. The mask can pick up cars and knock over buildings with ease. He can dodge point-blank bullets and run fast enough to set the ground on fire. He has survived massive explosions, giant robots, and being kicked in the testicles so hard he flew.
Out of all the gore in those comics, that is the worst thing I've seen yet. But remember what we said before about him fighting Lobo? The guy who ate a city?
At one point, Lobo and the mask raced around the entire planet several times in the span of just a few seconds, and then crashed into each other in an absolutely gargantuan blast. Based on their after-trail rings, and given an estimated time frame of less than half a minute, which fits given the context, they must have been going over 9 million meters per second.
Ah, what a couple of scamps.
There's only one way to really stop the mask, and that's by removing the mask itself.
Good luck trying. The only way is if the wearer has already decided to let it come off. And with the power it gives, who'd want to?
Technically, the conscience of the person the mask possesses still exists, and could be reasoned with or tricked into removing the mask.
Like when Lobo threw a guilt bomb at him after he murdered hundreds of people.
But the mask itself has an astronomically powerful influence on its host.
Right. I mean, who doesn't like letting loose every once in a while? We've covered a lot of vicious murderers on the show, but I've never seen one who has as much fun with it as the Mask.
Let's rock this joint!